I've got 7 o'clock. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District Special Meeting, Tuesday, July 14th at 7 p.m. Roll call.
Kittle here.
Villar here.
Parola here. If I could get everybody to join me for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And obviously, we just have the one item on the agenda for tonight, so I want to thank everybody for coming. The berm maintenance project that has been the topic of discussion the last couple of meetings. I guess it would have been 3 weeks ago, so 2 regular meetings ago, we had obviously had a number of people that had come to the board expressing just some concerns and some questions over the project, the way that it was executed, and then some issues that had popped up with the way that we implemented the process. We had discussed as a board kind of having, that there were some issues that were gonna need to be followed up on. We discussed again at the regular meeting last week on the 7th. I guess, I had walked away from that meeting kind of feeling like issues were settled. But then after the meeting, 2 of the residents, both Mr. Lucas and Mr. Hildebrand had reached out, kind of asking what the status was. So there was clearly a disconnect somewhere on what had happened.
We don't.
And they were concerned about, when they were gonna get an answer from the board on kind of what was gonna be done. So I thought instead of asking them to wait another 2 weeks, that's why I had emailed last week to kind of set up a time. So I just wanted to discuss real quickly kind of, I guess, those 2 issues, and then obviously if there was anybody else here that was tonight, we can discuss, as long as it's related to the berm maintenance project and that topic, we're good to kind of have an open conversation on those. So I guess, why don't we just start first and foremost, I guess, with the property on Lance Road where we had the culvert pipe that was damaged at the kind of intersection where it hits the drive pipe. Because the drive pipe isn't buried deep enough, it sits a little bit higher, we kind of snagged it, pulled it up, and now it looks like we've tried to put it back down, but it's not, obviously it's probably not like a complete repair job. So I just wanted to see, I think you had mentioned that Mr. Hildebrand it seemed like from the meeting last week that he was okay, but then, like I said, he called me on, I think it was Thursday, kind of wanting to know what we were doing, so
Okay.
he clearly didn't have that takeaway
From it.
at least in the conversation I had, so.
So with that particular property, he does need to go because the history of that is he did have a permit originally, as you know,
Right.
that expired. And when it expired, he still hadn't had his inspection done on that point. So the county has said that he does, I went to the county to see what the process is, to make sure we do this right. The county has said that he does need to go and get a new permit now, Paul, for it. When he gets the permit in place, the pipe needs to be removed, it needs to be buried back down for 30 feet. We as a township cannot remove that pipe ourselves, the owner has to do it because we cannot take the liability for it. Once he removes it, the team can come in, the township guys can come in, they will dig that ditch deeper because they have exalted to dig the ditch at that point. They would set it so it's 30 feet. The resident will put that pipe back on top at the 30 feet, cover it, but he will need to get the inspection then through the county to complete that project to ensure that that pipe is at the right depth at that point.
But we're just talking about the pipe in the culvert, not the drive pipe.
Yeah, so that culvert pipe is too high currently. It's
So is
not.
the drive pipe.
Yeah, so what the county said today when I met out there today is that part is still too high, it does need to be reset. So he still needs a permit, he still needs to have it dropped in, and then he needs it inspected again. Because it failed the inspection the first time round anyway, because he didn't get it inspected, so they said it was an improper installment.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but ultimately, the section of the culvert pipe that we hit is right up against, not up against, but in very close proximity to the drive pipe. If the drive pipe's not gonna be lowered, you're gonna be in the exact same, we're going to be in the exact same situation of any work is done there, you can't bury the culvert pipe at the proper depth and have it not hit the drive pipe. So again, you're gonna have that exact same drop, and the next time we go out and clean, we're gonna hit it again. So I guess my question is, there's no, we hit it. I'm not saying it was necessarily the service department's fault from a negligence or improper standpoint, but we're now dealing with a situation where we had what happened prior to, right? Everything that happened prior to us going out there and doing work, nobody really has any control over, right? Like that's the playing field that we were dealt to handle. But we go out and we do the work and we've hit it, and now the only way to do it right is to have the homeowner tear up his driveway, bury the drive pipe at the proper level, which means that at some point, somewhere in the past, that drive pipe was installed, whether it was even while this property owner owned it or not, but a drive pipe was installed that wasn't up to code, but was let to go. And so now, I guess my issue, and I don't know where you guys stand, is it's not necessarily that it's any one person's fault, and it's not that we're necessarily legally obligated to do something, but we have a situation where there's no good remedy, like, for everybody. So how do we not just kick the can down the road and allow a bad situation to continue to be bad and leave the entire like fallout from this to fall on the homeowner who ultimately really didn't, because again, I guess what I'm saying is, even if he'd have buried his culvert pipe at the proper depth, when we got up to the driveway, where the pipe had to have come up to meet the drive pipe, we were gonna hit it there. It's ultimately where we hit it anyway, so to me, it doesn't seem like,
Well, the pipe isn't actually level and it's not straight, so it's actually what they call an elephant pipe right now. So when we were doing the inspection today on it, it isn't actually set the way it's supposed to be set. So what the county have said is yes, we still need to move the pipe, the resident needs to do it, but to resolve what you're saying about where it meets, he recommends that the homeowner then installs and I cannot think of the word right now what it's for, it'll come to me in a minute probably, so that the water catches in that and then the pipe can still drain. I can't think what the word is.
Catch basin?
Catch basin, thank you, yeah. And that, he said that will then deal with the problem with the pipe not being level at that point, because the catch basin will collect what it needs to, and then that pipe can still, but when you look at the way on the road, when we did the grading of the road today, the pipe was too near to the road anyway. So
What was that?
the pipe was installed too near to the road
Oh, yes,
anyway.
yeah.
And so what Mike said today is it needs to go back actually quite a few feet anyway for it to be, which is the problem because the driveway one's not in place in the right place either, which is whoever installed that in the first place. Obviously we are where we are with it right now, but he said putting that catch basin in solves the problem, but that pipe does need to be moved in and lowered. And that he said it's not something that, yes, it's not, is it fair the homeowner's responsibility? We were doing proper, it's what the code calls proper maintenance, road maintenance. And when something was not installed correctly in the first place, when we caught it, it doesn't mean that we're liable for it at that point.
I think we get too hung up on who's liable, who's at fault, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, there comes a point where, the township has very limited minimum required, obligations. If we solely oversaw operations at the minimum, revised code required level, we would cut the vast majority of what we do. So we clearly operate in that area between what we're legally mandated to do and what we're legally allowed to do, right? We all know that there are limitations, right? Like, we can't go into into private property and spend taxpayer money improving private property, right? But when we're working in the right of way, we have a lot of gray area in doing what makes sense for the township, for our residents, and I guess that's where maybe I have the biggest problem with kind of where we're at, right? Like, so far, we've taken the posture as a board of, well, this is what we're legally required to do, this is the minimum, this is what our liability is, and we're not gonna touch any of the rest of it. But at the same time, the whole idea of doing this berming project was to do what was best for the long-term benefit of the township and our roads, and I think we're losing sight of that by seeing some of these situations where, yes, I agree 100%. If we want to completely wash our hands and say we're not legally liable for it and there's nothing we can do, then that's fine. But I think, I think that's very poor stewardship by the board if we're not gonna look at ways to, remedy some of these situations where, no, I'm not sitting here saying that the township is liable for what was done, but not for our berming project, these issues wouldn't be here, right? Like, yes, that drive pipe would be where it currently is, it wouldn't be buried enough, but we wouldn't have an issue that now needs to be addressed. So
Trustee Crowley, how do you recommend that we resolve this issue?
and that's why I wanted to sit and to discuss it, was because I think there are a number of ways that we can do. I know in the past we've done this type of berm work, right? Or, the culvert and the ditching, for residents, basically at cost. So I don't know, have we even broached that subject with the property owner in this case about the fact that, like, I know we don't wanna touch that pipe because we might damage it pulling it out. But have we even talked to the property owner about the fact that there's nothing that would stop us from doing the work
I did talk to him at the end of the meeting.
and him paying for it?
Yeah, I did have that conversation at the end of that meeting with him about that.
Well, again, when I talked to him on Thursday, that conversation must have slipped his mind because it did not seem that the property owner. So what did you talk to him
So I did say to him that what we could do as a township is we can assist with it, so it needs to be removed so that we would take off the top layer, the pipe would be removed, we would dig that ditch deeper for him, and then set it in correctly, and then have it covered with the, I can't remember that, I think it's 12 inches of the stairs on top, and try and reuse some of the material he has now. Currently, he doesn't have enough actually to cover it to the correct depth, so he would need to add more to it to ensure it's the way it is. And I did explain that to him, that we would, that's something that we could do to resolve the situation. That catch basin would need to be installed at some point though, if he's not gonna do the driveway thing. And when I talked to him, he said he didn't have the financial means right now to do the driveway. So I said, well, this is a compromise in between while we do this.
Well, it's interesting, I don't wanna, just the conversation that I had with Mr. Hildebrand on Thursday was that, there's that section that's kind of damaged at this point, and was kind of tried to be kind of pushed back down, is pretty much pretty close to the drive piece. He mentioned that he had a 5-foot section of pipe still in the back that we could, remove that small section and maybe do a proper temporary patch in there for him. I don't know if he brought that up in his conversation with you, but it's just surprising that seems like a lesser ask of the township than what you had offered him.
I think it's because that pipe does need to be, it's too close to the road. So when we were out today, it's so close that actually it's now a fault. And if we're not careful, as time goes on, as that road needs repairing and it will get damaged again.
So why don't we just fix it the right way?
Well, that's what I said. So then
You're getting somewhere.
installing it, re-lifting it and put it back where it's supposed to be in the first place.
That's, that's the way I operate. If you're gonna do something, do it right or don't do it. So, in my opinion, to fix this driveway, and it's not just his driveway, but it's 2 driveways downstream of his, and it could go 1 driveway
So south.
upstream.
So, Okay, so one in the one direction, two in
including,
the
so
other,
4 total
potentially.
driveways.
Okay,
All their culverts are, I didn't measure it, but very close to the road
okay,
and very high to the surface of the road as well. In fact, the second one downstream from his runs into his mailbox post and is washing out his mailbox post because the culvert is too close to the road. It needs to
Okay.
move back at least 2 or 3 feet. So, in my opinion, to do this right, we need to start at the point where that culvert, that ditch that actually jumps the road, goes over to the other side of the road. And then, so we need to start at that low point and work our way up, replace a culvert. And I don't know
right,
who funds this,
yeah,
but this, in my opinion, this is what needs done.
okay,
Replace a culvert at that, I don't have addresses, but the first one, it was a metal culvert. It's got some rust marks on it. I don't know if it's any good, if we can reuse it, if we can pull it out and reuse it, or if it needs a new one. Cut that back, put a new culvert in.
Okay.
Keep working upstream, ditch all the way up to the next driveway, do the same thing there. I think that second one has a stone approach, but it has asphalt. So we would have to cut a couple feet of asphalt out and then replace it with stone, because we don't do asphalt or concrete. Now, when you get up to Mr. Hildebrand's driveway, his is concrete. It's broke, it's cracked and stuff, but it's still functional.
right,
Like I said, we don't do asphalt and we don't do concrete, so
right,
he would have to agree that we can cut his approach out, reset his pipe. After we move it back 2 to 3 feet, maybe it's 4 feet, I don't know, the actual dimension that we need to move it. But put that one in, and then if we're doing those 3, we might as well go up to the high point of the road where the road peaks at, and
Okay.
it goes both ways. So, that would be the 4th one, and I believe that one was in stone too. I was
So-
out there this morning, but I don't remember.
It is.
so the
Yeah.
best solution is a bigger project,
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably, I talked to Matt, he said it'd probably be over a week, and so each pipe, is, a 20-foot pipe is $150-ish,
right,
and you need 30 feet to get across,
Yeah, yeah.
minimum 30 feet, so it's gonna be $225 or so per the pipe, and then you need
Yeah.
stone to set it in and stone to cover it with, so we're thinking, like, when I try to get round numbers from Matt, it's probably about $1,000 per driveway,
okay,
plus their time and labor.
sure,
But that's,
Understood.
but we're paying them whether they're,
right, and we've done that, you
Yeah.
know, in the past with pipes. I don't know that we've ever allocated a percentage of, labor
Yeah,
cost.
No,
to do that.
we don't charge,
and-
homeowners.
And here's the thing, I don't necessarily, like, I agree with everything you said as far as, we'll want to verify, where the line is drawn, and like, one, what we can force to be done, two, what we can do from a cost standpoint, like what cost the township can actually bear out of cost, or out of pocket, or out of township funds, and what has to be billed back to the homeowner. And then also might be worth, since this is probably something that not every homeowner is potentially planning for or expecting, what flexibility or options that we have for potentially,
Mhm.
invoicing over time, just so that we have options, right? And I'm not advocating for approaching this from a standpoint of telling all of the homeowners that are affected exactly what's gonna happen, whether they like it or not. But I think it's a conversation that's worth us having with each of them, because ultimately, it sounds like they're all gonna have an impact at some point anyway, right? This is gonna be a problem while it's affecting one homeowner right now.
Yes,
At some point in the future,
Well,
it's gonna affect
it's-
all of them, if not.
it's also
sooner,
affecting
if
the
not
one
later.
that's the farthest downstream, because it's washing his
Yeah.
mailbox out.
Okay.
And he's got like concrete pieces in there to keep the water away, to hold his mailbox in place, and, I don't know.
Okay.
And that stretch of road, because Matt and I measured it, I think distance-wise, we're talking about between quarter of a mile, half a mile. It's quite, it is quite a big stretch to do. And I've got nothing to add to it. The way that works is when that water goes down, it doesn't go straight down. It goes across the road, goes around, and comes back again. Yeah.
It never
So
goes
that's
where
some-
you, it never goes
yeah.
where you want it to go.
So that's
I get
something
that.
as well, you know, that we need to consider,
So I guess maybe step one, are we at a relative consensus on the fact that we probably wanna do something here? Whether
I think that's the
sooner-
right, I think that's the right solution,
Okay.
I just don't know, I think it's also kind of a slippery slope. We
Well,
fix this one, then we have, everybody wants their,
And that's fine, but sometimes it is simply just being in the right place at the right time, or, you know, being the one that,
Sure.
you know, we accidentally
Yeah.
damaged
Well,
and then had to address,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the pipe
Didn't
was-
have to, but it made sense to you, right? So instead of pulling the trigger and saying this is exactly what we're gonna do tonight, cause I don't think we're there yet, why don't we kind of work this project maybe together, right? Cause there's a couple of facets here.
Yeah.
Nick, if you'd be okay with it, I kind of think like maybe if you wouldn't mind going out again and getting, you know, cause you kind of have this is the
Right.
the distance, right? So if you could maybe collect the parcel numbers or the addresses, right,
Addresses, yeah.
of the section that we need to do. Carrie, if you wouldn't mind maybe start the process with Matt, I know, you know, obviously this is not gonna be something that they can do in an afternoon. So kind of get an idea of realistically, you'll have like staffing model with the township or with the service department, right? Like when vacations are, when other projects are scheduled, when work might be able to be done, so we can kind of have a time from there. I'll reach out to the prosecutor's office, I'll copy both of you on email, but I'll get an idea of like where are our limitations, right? And what options do we have potentially for the costs, and then also potentially financing or billing over time for any costs that are, you know, to the homeowners, so that we can figure that piece out. And then we can kind of come back maybe within the next meeting or two and have more of a concrete plan.
Mhm.
That way, you know, the property owners over there aren't kind of in limbo on whether we're approaching it or not. This is what we're gonna look at. Again, not necessarily saying, there's a chance that this doesn't work out, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that this is 100% the way it's go, but I agree with you in the sense that it's far better to solve the problem correctly than to throw a Band-Aid on it
Right.
and just kick the can down the road for the next person to deal with. I mean, unfortunately, that's some of, like, that just happens everywhere, right? Like, any
Yeah.
job that I've ever been in, you always uncover stuff like that, right? And that's not to fault people before, it's just, things happen, and a lot of this, like I said, comes down to county sign-off more so even than anything that's done inside.
I
Okay,
think the problem then is, this was a project anyway that they were doing, the service department were gonna do this anyway, these culverts were on the list to do anyway, but the residents still need to go pull the permits, they'll still need to do all the things by the county, so who, you know, they'll have to fund that, and
well, again, we can, I'll work with the prosecutor's office on like what we could, how much we can be involved in helping to facilitate the project. For now, instead of worrying about like kind of the details on the road, let's just find out like kind of how feasible the solution is, right? Like, let's get a scope on it, get an idea on the cost. It doesn't sound like it's gonna be astronomically expensive, it's probably more labor intensive than anything else.
Right.
So let's just find out, you know, what our options are, and then we can be able to, again, in the conversation that I had with Mr. Hildebrand, it sounded like just knowing that we're doing something
Mhm.
was enough. He just kind of walked away from the last meeting, I think, feeling like it's like, okay, well, nothing's being done, and it's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know that, I'm not trying to say that's what the intention up here was, but I think that was the message that he had, so that's why I wanted to address this now. The other one, which might be an equally challenging situation, but maybe for different reasons, is over on Karsten, the apron for Mr. Lucas.
My neighbor,
Yeah.
that's why we're here.
Yeah, I drove by that lot this morning as well, and he added a bunch of stone. The stone's actually going out into the roadway now. His complaint was when we cut the berm, we cut his driveway and created a couple bumps into his driveway. Somebody added a bunch of stone,
he did.
and now it's a smooth transition up there, but the stone's in the road, which,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is
Are we allowed to talk? How's this work?
So,
First
Give us
time
a couple minutes in the
Yeah,
morning.
but yeah,
Because
we
my
will.
stone,
Yeah, yeah.
our stone's gone too.
Okay.
You know.
Absolutely, but just give us 1
I
second,
have
okay?
called you a few times too. No callbacks.
Call me?
Yes,
On what number?
whatever the township, I've been calling the township for weeks, can't get through to nobody, that's why we're in here
Well,
tonight.
I'll have it looked at, I apologize, like I said,
Yeah,
I didn't have a call, so,
Yeah.
well, at least not, I'll check, but, go ahead.
No, that's it. Well, you know, the edge of his road, the edge of the road by his driveway is crumbled.
Yeah.
It could use some patching, but now that he has a stone over top of it, it's not, I don't know.
So I met with Dan Beckett today,
Okay.
and we had a look at it
From the county.
from the
Just
county.
an accident.
Unfortunately, what's happened is when that resident put that gravel on that area and put it onto the
There was some
road
signage on the road too.
and had scraped and done certain things, he actually caused Dan now says to us, we have an emergency safety issue now with the road because of it. So what Dan would like to do, what Dan has suggested we do though, as a township, is we need to take 2 feet away from the road, I don't know if you've seen it, I do have a picture of it, to take that gravel away and for the elevation for it to be done. That needs to be, the hot patch needs to be done for it, and that section that is now damaged needs to be done. The reason being, where that gravel had been in place for a period of time, it had caused an road erosion, and over time, there is now such a dip that if a car goes onto that, and if the tyre gets caught, the car could rear off and go into the ditch, and then we've got a dangerous situation. So Dan has said that his recommendation is that we do the excavation, the grading, and we get the material, and we get that patch done on that stretch immediately, because it's now a safety concern. He did speak to the resident today. He told the resident that he is under no circumstances allowed to put any gravel back on that section again, and needs to remove as much as possible as well, because it's causing the erosion in the road. I had a conversation with him and his wife as well. Dan also explained to them they do need to get a permit, and that pipe needs to be changed as well. That's another one that needs to be done. The pipe, they used the incorrect pipe to begin with. The one section is the right pipe, but just not set in enough. So I did talk with them, and when I spoke with the wife, and I said, you know, are you able to do the permits, get that done? We will do the patchwork that needs to be done on that stretch, but we do need to do that as an urgent matter.
I guess the question I have on that is, how did we, cause we just resurfaced Karsten. How did that section of road,
It got damaged, okay.
no, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying about the damage, but how did it not?
It got missed because the
How did
gravel
it get
was,
missed when we
because
just,
he had his gravel so far over it that when Malware came in to pave it, they did not realise that section was not covered.
we graded first though, correct? And then they
No.
resurfaced
No, some of the grading was done, some
afterwards?
after. The other problem we have in that,
I'm not sure. I think we did the berm grading before.
we did all the berm grading
So-
first, yes.
So, Matt,
then he-
Matt went around, he drove those roads that were chip and sealed, he drove those roads with Melway paving.
Right.
And they determined this area needs, a patch. And like, they marked all the areas that needed a
Gotcha, and
patch.
that just didn't happen to be one that got marked for whatever reason?
Yeah, we only had so many linear
Yeah.
feet or square feet of patch,
Okay,
and
Yeah,
that one was missed or was
or
deemed
was
not
not as,
as
it's not the priority
necessary,
compared to
yeah.
the other ones
Yeah.
potentially, okay. But, so we're gonna go back in, the recommendation is that we should go back in and patch that section. Now, the question that I have in this, right, is this kinda goes back into the same dilemma that we were talking about before, right? Like, we all know the situation, the driveway is probably higher than it should be. But correcting that issue is not feasible ultimately.
not for us.
no.
Okay.
So I did talk to the
Standards.
resident about that. When I talked to them, to the wife, and I said, at the moment, your driveway is too high. And that's a battle that right now is not for us to deal with. If that is the residents. The county have asked them though that they do need to pull a permit for their driveway because it was installed I think in 2017 without a permit. So that is the county to deal with, for them to correct, get the permit, get it checked and lower it in time. And Dan was very plain to them that it's not on us to chase or for us to deal with currently, because it's between the homeowner and the county right now, because it's.
Well, this is another one of those ones where, again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, right? Like, I get the natural reaction to wanna say it's between the county and it's the homeowner, but at the end of the day, that's our road, that driveway, it's gonna be an issue. Like, we can pretend like it's not and not address it, because we don't have to, but it's gonna be a problem, right? Like if you were there, if you were the homeowner with that driveway, right, you're not gonna have a monster. And if he doesn't do something to even it out, it's just gonna, like, he's not gonna quit using his driveway, right? That's a ridiculous ask, nobody would do that. So now you're gonna have a big dip. Well, if you're driving equipment and trucks and vehicles across that, when there's that uneven, you're just going to exacerbate that problem over time. So again, like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that, like, you know, we're obligated to solve this problem, but I think we're doing ourselves and future boards and the resident and the township a major disservice if we don't figure out, or at least move towards figuring out a solution. I mean, is there any way, I mean, we have right to work in the right of way, right? I think we're all in agreement that the
Yes.
right of way,
Yep.
so we have 30 feet from the center line. So,
Actually, no. Today I learned something different. We don't have that measurement yet, so Dan has said that we do need to get the surveying done to get the right of way in, because that's a different section of road. So he did recommend that we get a survey done to find the exact right of way first of all before we do anything
okay,
with the homeowner, which I did say that I would let you guys know, and we'll go from there. But once
why don't
we've
we
got
just get the
that,
right of way survey done?
because I was only down there.
No, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, so we're doing that though?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
township
Matt
is
knows,
taking
yeah,
that.
to get hold of
Okay.
that, yeah, so that's the process that we just will get done, and then that will be marked, so that
'Cause I
we all
think-
know where we are.
I
with
guess
it.
where I'm going with that, right, is if we're working in the right of way, I mean, you see plenty of road projects, right? And I understand they're done on all different levels, so I'm not faulting the fact that they're done different ways, right? But there are plenty of them where they do the road resurfacing and they do the approaches to all the driveways, right, as part of the project. So I know it's within our ability, if we want to try to help work that transition. If we're already gonna be there doing a patch section, is there a way? Again, I don't have all the answers here, I'm just saying, like,
Well, if we do anything though, and we put anything onto their driveway, we become responsible for that for forever.
what
So
do
the
you mean?
township has to fund that forever though, because we take the liability for it forever. So we
How is it
would-
any different than the right of way that we have now?
Because
I
the
don't,
homeowner's responsibility is up until a certain point, and he put his driveway way into the right of way, and it's not, it's too high.
everybody puts their driveway to the road.
But not, most people try and elevate it to the right levels, this is too high.
You know, I understand all that, but drive down Columbia Road, okay? And they've done the approaches to everybody's driveway.
Yeah, you're saying
The
approach,
state's-
you're saying approach, but it's really just a little spur.
Well, right,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what,
it's not like the whole acre.
correct,
Yeah.
okay.
But I just wanna make sure we're clear that it's not a whole acre,
Yeah.
just a little spur.
Right, but I'm just saying, like,
So that initial section you mean?
is there something that all I'm saying is, like, when we go in here and do that, is there something that we can do to potentially help? Cause look, we can't build the road up to his driveway level, and his driveway's not gonna go down. So
Right.
again, I'm just saying, like,
So-
we can be stubborn, and maybe that's the wrong word, right? But we can hold our position on this and do nothing, but it's gonna continue to be an issue, right? Like, there's just no way that it's not if we don't have some sort of solution in place that works for the township and for the homeowner. It can't just be this is the way it is, deal with it, replace your entire driveway, or, you know, obviously you wouldn't have to replace the whole thing, but he'd have to replace a decent section at the end if he was truly gonna
To drop it down. yeah.
drop it out. But then, even then, we're gonna be dealing with a situation where there's no way then you're gonna be sloping towards the road, right? And so his driveway's gonna be pushing water towards the road. So now we have that situation where we want water off the roads. So there's gotta be a way that we can do something at the end of his driveway with the connection to the road to help soften that difference and not have it be a situation where there needs to be that much gravel in the end of his driveway and then out into the road, right? Cause that's just gonna be a never ending back and forth.
Yeah, so this one's a tough one because his road, or his driveway is so much higher than the road. I didn't measure it, I didn't.
6.5
but I think it's,
inches above the
I was
road.
gonna say, it's at
height.
least 6 inches
Yeah,
higher than the road. So, like you said, either the driveway needs to come down or the road needs to come up. We're not gonna pave the road, we're not gonna
Right.
increase 8 inches of the road because the road still has to pitch off
Yes.
into the right of way. The problem with putting, his driveway ends so close to the road too. The concrete is so close to the road that I didn't take measurements, but it's a pretty steep
Yeah.
incline from the road to his driveway. There's not a whole lot of room to work in there, as far as making it a smooth transition, because it has to come off the road, the water has to run off the road, and then it has to go back up to meet his driveway.
Right.
There's really,
Right.
it's,
You almost need some sort of setup such that like where the water's coming off the road and coming out of his driveway, then it needs to also funnel to the ditches. I mean.
Yeah. Now, if we do a spur like you're saying, I'm afraid we're gonna catch it with snowplows every year.
we are, yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
And
How do
it's,
they get about it? I mean, how do they get
On
about it?
Columbia Road, it's smooth, it's not going straight uphill
Yeah, I see
in a
what you
short
mean.
span.
Alright.
You know, to do this right, he really needs to cut probably at least 20 feet of his driveway out and grade it down to meet.
Good luck on that.
And-
I know.
and
I know.
end up. I got
Yeah,
you.
but, I mean, that's the way to do it right, and if he put his driveway in without a permit and didn't, he just decided, hey, I'm gonna put it in at this high, I wanna make it right, but to make it right is paving the road higher or driving the driveway.
And raising the road's economically not feasible and
Right.
we don't have the ability to do anything for him that far into his property.
Right.
Alright, so but it sounds like we're addressing the road
yeah, the safety thing Matt
that's
knows,
essentially right at the
yeah.
end of his driveway. I mean, it's just a little bit,
It's
I guess
just,
it'd be
yeah,
just
there
north
is,
of his
but also,
driveway.
have you been down the road?
Yeah, there's a pretty good,
But have you seen what the damage to the new what happened recently?
No.
Unfortunately, when he pulled his bobcat out and he was dropping in the new gravel, he damaged the road, the brand new road that we just had done.
how? Like in what way? Just driving on it?
Driving on it with the equipment, it is scraped, a huge patch around. Now we've got a big ball patch to the centre part. I've got the pictures, I can send them.
Please.
It's created a bigger problem because now we have a second safety issue that the county has seen and asked that we address.
Okay.
And we are gonna have to get Malway out to price up how much it's gonna cost to redo that section. Do you wanna see what it looks like?
If you can just forward it
Yeah,
to
I'll
me when you
forward
get a
it,
chance, I'd
yeah.
appreciate it. Okay. So that one's probably, if there's anything to do there, it's gonna be part of this repair patch project anyway, discussion, but we're at least,
I think that's the best we can do is patch it.
Yeah.
And, because point A doesn't meet point B.
if you would,
Ready?
yeah, if you're,
Well,
yeah.
so I'm right next to him on Carson Road, so just so you know, there was an accident just now, Deer Crossing, and that's why I'm here, if we could get a sign up for that. You'll need to repair the guardrail there.
Okay.
They blew the guardrail out pretty good. It just happened like 2 hours ago. I was
Is
just
the
talking
person
to
okay?
one of the, I guess Medina Police is our
Yep.
police now. Yeah, I was just talking
Okay.
about it. But, so I'm at 5234 Carson, I'm gonna dip in the road right next to the culvert there. And I also have 5266 up on the hill there also, farmhouse. I'm requesting heading north on Smith Road, that a hidden driveway sign, maybe a deer crossing sign, because that.
On Karsten though?
Oh, yeah, they
but
come over, yeah, they
towards
come
the-
over that
yeah,
hill.
right, Yep,
I'm in the bottom now, and
Yep.
I pull out, I just built a new house there, been there about 4 years now, and I'm just afraid somebody's gonna rear end me, you know how they get, we got them coming the other way, but we need them heading north on Karsten. So it'll be at the top of 5266, I'm in the dip, 5234. And then I'm not too happy with the road either. You guys did patch in front of my driveway, you did cut out and patch, but the rest of the road going up the hill, the whole side's falling off, and you guys came out and hand patched it last year, I think when Rick was around, they took
Right.
care of that, cause somebody went off the road in a truck, hit my culvert pipe at 5266, his front tire, he jumped the whole driveway, landed in the front yard, went further, hit the
Jeez.
telephone pole, cracked that off, somehow he drove away. So that road it needs
Yeah,
more addressing, and when I pull out of my driveway, the whole edge of the road, still, you guys patched it, but you didn't go up the hill, so. Whatever, I'm just,
it's on, I do know that's on the thing, when Matt and I drove, we try and
Yeah.
drive it monthly.
yeah,
It's on the list to do,
so you know about
so
it.
we do know. There's also a divot, if you look in that ground just beyond your properties,
Yeah.
it's actually like a ditch, and when it rains, it does pool there. So we are aware of that, that's another one
Yeah, I
that
always
we
wanted
wanna
to maybe
do.
put a culvert pipe in and close that whole ditch down and pull the hill down, maybe someday I will, but, cause I own the two properties. Right there, so, and then,
Yeah, I'm at 6854 Ballish. I was at work, my wife said there's a front end loader at the bottom of the driveway. I have it on video, the guy comes in, he scoops a big scoop,
big time,
dumps it in the middle of my driveway, and then now I have a drop off 6 inches. Didn't even attempt to grade it. And I was like, what are they doing? So when I got home, I put two and two together, they're doing something with the berm. It's like, if you guys wanna work on the driveways, try and backdrag it or something.
Are you the new property that's being built there?
There's a
I built
bunch of
last
them.
year.
Okay,
There's
not the
two of
current
us are
one.
next to each other.
Okay.
You said 6854.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then a couple of years ago, you guys redid the culvert. It would be north of me, heading towards 162 here. And whoever paved that in, you go over it and it dips down and throws you back up.
Yeah,
It's like, do they even know
Yeah, that
what
was
they're doing?
what, I think it was 24.
yeah.
Yeah, so they don't know how to grade pavement.
Yeah, we got the same thing on Carson Road, but Carson Woods right there, that dip in the road has been there forever, when they put the road, the pipe across, they never fixed it, I mean,
No,
What's the word?
Matt has that on the list
Yeah,
of
but
things.
you tarred the road already, I just don't get why they didn't fix. Roads are rough out here, I mean, you got a lot of people out here now, we should be able to have some good roads, especially what's going on down here with all these developments.
Yeah.
That is all Lafayette Township, right?
Yep.
That's insane,
Yeah.
I'm glad I live over there.
It is, it's two
How come they
different.
let all that go on? I mean, that's not none of my business, I guess, maybe it is because I'm in the community, but wow.
Well, that's a bigger conversation, and we'll definitely, we
You
can
can't
have
even
it.
go up to Medina anymore on the weekends.
Well, not to wander too far off the topic of the meeting,
Yes.
but, you know, that, kind of a necessary evil, you know? It's one of those ones where,
Yeah.
well, you know, to that question, the industrial park over here, you know, on Lake Road,
Okay,
that used to all be Lafayette,
right.
you know?
Mhm.
And leaders way, you know, before any of us in this room,
Right,
you know, didn't want that there. So the alternative was, it wasn't built in Lafayette Township, it was built in the city of Medina in the same place.
oh, I
They
got
just
it,
annexed to the city.
I got it.
So it's kind of that whole annexation,
Yeah.
protecting the borders. You have to make some compromises to hopefully protect the rest of the township, but again, that's a much bigger
So I
conversation.
did call, left you one message, and then I talked to Tom once.
Yeah, I'll find out what happened.
But they
'cause I-
said, come to the meeting to get the signs, you know what I mean, would be,
Yeah,
Well,
we shouldn't
whatever.
be telling you you have to come to a meeting for a sign, right? Like, I mean, we
well, we haven't been up to one, and we're in
Yeah.
the community, so, where
So-
is everybody?
Yeah, well, it's, this is just a special meeting, so this is like a
Well, I
one-off,
heard
just
of
this
that.
topic.
Yeah, one of the,
Normally for a bigger meeting, you know,
Okay.
where we're kind of covering everything, there would be more people.
well, yeah, the farmer behind me called me and told me, hey, they're having a meeting on the grading of the roads tonight, if you wanna go up, you know, so I told my son,
Yeah.
he's like, let's come on up.
Well, we'll definitely take a look at it.
And then my daughter
I'm guessing you've already taken
my
care
daughter
of
lives
your
in the
driveway though, or
community,
no?
too,
No, because it's compacted down like concrete. I got a little tractor I bought, but I'll be working on it for a while.
Yeah, alright, we'll get somebody else to take a look at it.
Yeah. But I think that's really all we had, I mean.
Good?
And what
I have a
number
couple
were
of
you?
questions. I'm 52,
What
30,
house, and you're 52,
34
And
Carson.
you're-
And 50,
6854 Ballish.
I know we didn't do your driveway, Mike.
So I do have one more question.
Alright,
Are they ever gonna replace the culvert pipe by me like they did down the road?
we are, that's a project.
That thing,
in the
yeah,
works.
that's
Yes.
rough.
That's usually handled
And,
through,
oh, here's another
in
thing.
conjunction with the county.
Alright, so they used to maintain that. They used to weed whack it, weed kill it. You know, what's the story with that anymore?
We'll,
You know, they used to weed whack
It's-
guardrail.
It is, yeah, it has,
I'm the one doing it. I'm the one backing up there with my brush hog and we can't see when we pull out. We get a lot of that
Tim was
going
down
on,
there- I think
Egypt
Tim
and
did your
Spencer too,
road
you
though.
can't see when you cross there.
We did get a
all
later-
them weeds are
We
planted.
did get a later start
I mean, you
on,
got so many
on that
people
stuff.
living out here now and
Tim,
everywhere, you
I
guys,
know Tim was on your road the other week,
you guys
so
gotta
your
step it
road
up with
is
clearing these
being done,
intersections.
but I'll
Just-
ask Tim to come out and
I
have a
mean, I
look.
just followed the sheriff down the road and he like stopped halfway out, you know what I mean, or Medina Police, cause there's some, you know, just basic, you gotta have some kids going around and taking care of that stuff.
Yep.
And I don't wanna weed whack that guardrail anymore, I've been doing it, I've been out there 25 years, I don't wanna do it anymore.
I
So
hear
I
you.
told Rick, get them young kids down there, get them weed whacking, get them, you know what I mean? I'm paying a good amount of taxes.
I'm just curious how the burn project came about and how certain roads were selected, how you guys prioritized which ones you did. 2 meetings ago, at the end of June, I was out of town on a business trip, so, I wasn't able to attend that meeting. But the comment was made that this was the first time burning has ever been done in Lafayette Township. And that is just absolutely 100% false. Every road project that's been done here in the last 24 years has had berming done to it. And I don't know why that statement would have been made in the first place, but I'm wondering how you have prioritized road projects for this year, road projects going forward in the future. If you've done a road survey with the county engineer, and how these roads for the berming project this year were identified and prioritized.
Do you wanna handle that one?
Sorry, I was writing what you were saying as well. So when Matt took the position, we had a look over the history of the roads that were done over time. So they had a look, we met with the county as well to go over the road. So when they were looking at this, there are long-term projects that still need to be done. So this Birmingham was selected and these roads were selected for what the projects is like. Lance Road, we just talked about. We know that there's problems with the, same with Ballish Road. The berms and the, what do we call them? The shoulders of the roads are not wide enough in certain sections and things. So what Matt has been looking at is what roads need to be addressed sooner rather than later, what roads have issues with the runoff of the waters. So that when they were selecting it, they did go through a process with the county to look at what roads needed the priority roads on it. So I didn't go to all those meetings. I know Matt did with Ben. I believe it was Ben, or whether Matt went on his own. But they did have a meeting to discuss what projects need to be done urgently and what ones could be done in time. There is a plan for the roads over a period of time, which ones we'll be addressing. Lance Road is one, because we've got to figure out those culverts, because we talked, they don't run straight and they're an issue and they're not installed correctly. But yeah, there is a process that they did pick for it. What was your other question? Sorry, Mike.
That kind of summarizes it up. My question was about the statement that berming has never been done in this township.
Yeah,
You can,
I was told that, it's probably me who said it actually, it probably was me, because I had never realised, and I think when we have discussed it with the residents, they've said it's never been done before. So if I made the statement and it's incorrect, Mate, I do apologise. I didn't know that we had done it previously. It's something that most of the township has told me that we've not seen it before in the township. So I wasn't aware that it had been done though.
I think, and just to kind of piggyback on that and maybe try to suppose, kind of what happened, right? Like, I think one of the things too is we probably haven't, as a township, you asked about what roads, right? Like, we rented the grader for the month and the objective was to do all of them.
All township roads.
So we did all the township roads and because it didn't,
We didn't do
Well,
our own road.
the goal was to do
Yeah.
all of the township roads. We did not get everything accomplished. We obviously started with the ones that were going to be having resurfacing projects done because those were a priority and we needed to get those done prior to the resurfacing being done. But when Matt came in and first did his assessment, that was one of the things that he felt, needed to be addressed early, was that it looked like shoulder maintenance had not been done properly township-wide as a preventative maintenance approach, which probably piggybacks with what you were saying, right? Like, in the past, it was more associated with, a resurfacing project, and then the burn work would be just done then. So this was kind of township-wide on that element. I think the other thing that's a challenge, and you could probably speak to this too, just because you've had experience in this role, we're dealing with some challenges on, you know, the comprehensiveness of the records that we have available to us in the service department. So coming in, you can look at what's done and try to just try to guess, you know, when the last time maintenance was done, but if you don't have good, you know, paper files to be able to say, hey, go pull the file on Ballas Road and see all the work that's been done over this long.
Every road used to have a file, and it was a very comprehensive file. Are those files not available, or?
Probably not to the extent that they used to be, and we're in the process of, you know, again, unfortunately, the service department's a lot of out, you know, on the roads type focus right now, but over the course of the year, one of the tasks that Matt's been tasked with is trying to consolidate that to find out if it's just a matter of they're not where they're supposed to be and we have them, or if they are in fact missing, you know,
They're missing.
for some reason. Well, again, until we do an exhaustive search, I don't wanna say definitively we're missing records, cause we can't say that with 100% confidence until we've, you know, gone through all of the filing cabinets, and we've been working on, you know, doing the same thing with zoning and the filing room down at the admin building to make sure that we properly catalog what we do have and find out where the gaps are, and then, you know, if there are, we can try to recreate what we can. But to your point, yes, I mean, one of the things that we asked Matt to do, you know, when he first came on board, and I think you'll appreciate, you know, what a big undertaking it is to kind of recreate that whole, here's the assessment of where all the roads are in the township and what the long-term plan is, and that's unfortunately not something you can throw together in an afternoon, especially when you're not working from, you know, the most consolidated, you know, source of records, you know, so it's, again, not trying to make excuses for it, but that's just kind of, you know, where we're at and where we're working from for getting a better handle on long-term road projects. So hopefully that answers your question.
And then one last thing, you know, these drain pipes are so close to the road, you know, typically these drain pipes weren't there in most of these houses. This is something that has been done relatively recently, as far as long as most of these houses have been here. So it makes me wonder, you know, the township has maintained the ditches for years, cutting them, cleaning them out, these types of things. How did these pipes get so close to the road? I don't think anybody filled in the existing ditch and dug closer to the road to put this pipe, so I think that, you know, this really needs to be looked at, and if these things need to be moved, I'm not sure that it's 100% the homeowner's responsibility in a lot of these instances.
And that's, again, you know, kind of,
I would suggest that, you know, the first, you know, some of the old houses that have been there that had a culvert pipe,
Yeah.
it was probably far enough off the road, but it was probably a cart path.
Exactly.
And the road got wider and wider, so they didn't pull up the culvert and move the culvert when they widened the road. They left the culvert where it was, and the road just encroached on where the culvert was. That's my
and then the other thing that we've looked at
suspicion.
and one of the things that Matt's brought to us as we talk about that piece of things is, you know, the idea of potentially bringing the permitting process for, like you mentioned, right, the township does a lot of that work in maintaining the ditches, but ultimately the county does the permitting on it. Well, we have the option if we want to, you know, we need to explore the pros and cons of it before we make a knee-jerk decision on it, but potentially bringing the permitting process into the township, just so that we're not playing this game of, you know, well, did the county sign off on it, and did the county tell them this, and did the township, and instead of having all these different pieces in play, I think we as a board over the next couple of months need to look at, you know, what the pros and cons are of potentially bringing that back into the township's control, so that, again, doesn't mean that there's never a problem, but it's not, you know, one of these, it's,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's us and the homeowner,
Right.
so, but yeah, appreciate that. Is anything else, I wanna give everybody an opportunity, as long as it's about
I guess I have
the
one more question.
the berming and stuff like
What
that.
did what'd you do, just run down the roads to get the high spots off the berms? Is that what you did with the graders? Did you see bare
Anywhere,
spots?
the plan was anywhere where water was being trapped
Got it.
on the road, we were trying to knock all of that down so that the water got off the road as quickly as possible cause obviously you're aware, right?
Right.
The water buildup on the roads is
Right.
what does all the damage, so we
Yeah.
were just trying to create a situation where that stuff was gone.
Yeah,
Um,
gotcha.
you know,
Yeah, he set the blade with the pitch of the road,
mhm.
and just basically extended the surface of the road, but in the berm.
Right,
So
so
that
just
the
get
water,
rid of all the high
so it wouldn't
spots.
pool.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys were like putting a new berm in on the side and
No,
trying to
just-
figure out what was going on.
Just cut it down
Okay.
where it was high.
Alright.
Sure. Alright, thanks. Alright, well, if there's nothing else, I think we at least have a plan on how we're gonna try to solve these situations. I think, you know, after my conversations with both homeowners, I think our conversation tonight was much more substantive, and we'll give them some, at least positive
Yeah.
feel on it, and they don't have to wait till next meeting. Plus, it won't, hopefully, extend the regular meeting next week any longer. So I appreciate that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Alright, I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned at 7:55. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great. Thanks for the information. You sign it?
Yeah, if you would sign it.